Welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation. I'm Owen James, your host, guys, and we're going to talk a few things in today's video. First of all, we're going to talk obviously about the unexpected departure of James Bisgrove. Just briefly, we talked about that ad infinitum last night on the podcast. Please obviously check that out if you haven't done so yet. And we're going to talk about a possible goalkeeper merry-go-round, Russian roulette, a goalkeeper. What's the word I'm going to say here? A goalkeeper swapping party? I don't know. That's just the right thing. Or the team's going to put their keys in the bowl and pick new goalkeepers. That's just wrong. That just sounds really wrong. Apologies for that. And where my mind is today, this afternoon, this morning, whenever you're watching the video. Well, let's obviously start off by talking about the news that has happened in the last 24 hours. And look, we knew that this summer would be a big rebuild on the playing side. We didn't, I think, 100% get how big a rebuild would be off the pitch. But now we know that Zeb Jacobs has departed Rangers to become the new academy director at Feyenoord, therefore leaving Rangers looking for another new academy director, the third one in 5 years. So that is one appointment that needs to be made. Now, at the moment, they're quite happy for Lorah Almiron to take responsibility over the academy, and no appointment is being rushed through there as the board, obviously, and Niels Koppen play a role in selecting his replacement. And it just got even more interesting and more complicated off the field as CEO James Bisgrove, who is 1 year into his 3-year plan, has departed the club. Yes, that's right. James Bisgrove, the marketing guru, the commercial manager, the guy who brought you Sydney, yes, what disaster, has departed the club and gone to Saudi Arabia. Yes, he's followed the blood money, so the oil money, and headed out to the Middle East. So I don't think anyone was expecting James Bisgrove to depart the club anytime soon. And I think, there's a lot of people who will be sorry to see James go. I think, he's done a good job in terms of off the field, in terms of increasing revenue streams, obviously with the building of Edmiston House, the sports bars, etc., etc. Yet there's others, I think, that will think that he's done a particularly bad job, of course, by, allowing things to be perhaps too focused on what is going on off the field rather than on the field. So there's very much a mixed picture when it comes to him. Now, news obviously broke yesterday that John Bennett would take more of a role in the CEO's role over. He would become the executive chairman. Now, there is no news yet as to whether Rangers intend to replace Bisgrove or to leave all his duties in John Bennett's hands. Obviously, with John Bennett perhaps delegating some of them to the likes of Karim Varani, the current commercial director, Craig Robertson, the director of football, and others like that. Now, there's obviously, that could be spaced out and passed around, and there could be that we don't actually replace our CEO. So, again, that's a talking point, something to really think about. The worry, of course, is that some of us have a slight distrust of John Bennett. I know he's a Rangers man to the core, but he's also a businessman, an asset stripper, someone who is in it for the profit. I mean, let's face it, all businessmen are in it for the profit, but to get that profit, surely you've got to realize you've got to have a good product, and the product on the field at the moment is not great, is it? I mean, let's face it, 3 trophies in 12 years is a bit of a disaster. That does need to substantially improve. And that obviously will be a massive test now of John Bennett and his board to see whether they can back Niels Koppen and Philippe Clement and give them the money they need to redevelop this squad and also lead this club to success in the future. It's a massive one, guys. It's, just the amount of positions, like I said last night on the podcast, that we now need to replace. We need a new CEO, we need a new academy director, we need new medical staff, in my opinion, because our medical staff currently are quite frankly shocking, and we need new players. So there's an awful lot of work to do this summer for Rangers, and it's certainly going to be a very interesting and busy one of the club. But the departure of James Bisgrove does, of course, raise a question. Number one is he just chasing the oil money, and going out to Saudi for that, for obviously this new team that have been promoted that are backed by Aramco, one of the biggest oil companies in the world? Is it solely down to money? The fact that he's been offered an eye-watering salary by the Saudis and he can't turn it down, he's gone out there for that reason? Or is it that, that he's 1 year into a 3-year plan and his vision for the future is not being followed through and backed by the board, and he's fed up with the board and fed up with the board's lack of ambition and is getting out now before it all goes a bit Pete Tong and he gets the blame for it? Who knows? Who knows what the answer is to that question? I guess only time will tell, and we may never find out. I suppose the only way we find out is if over the next couple of years the club does not move forward on and off the pitch. That is obviously going to be the big thing. We certainly all hope that the board have the ambition, that they have the balls to actually back their manager, back their director of recruitment, and allow them to sign the players that we need to push us on. Now, this, of course, brings us to a current report doing the rounds in a number of sources as regards the goalkeeping position. Now, the speculation surrounding Jack Butland continues. Jack Butland, who was Rangers Player of the Season, probably, should have been really Scotland's Player of the Season, has been one of the best players in Britain this year, and has been certainly one of the best goalkeepers. And I think, is very unlucky not to have been included in the England Euro squad, especially, when you consider that the goalkeepers that England are taking are pretty average. Jordan Pickford is just shocking. And how he's England number one, God only knows. He's probably the worst England number one in history. So how Jack Butland obviously is not in the England squad, God only knows. But this, of course, has raised the big question. Well, it's raised two big questions. But first big question is, does Jack Butland want to move back to the EPL because he feels that down in England he will get more of a look in to actually get into England, back into the England team? That maybe the Scottish League is slightly overlooked, which has kind of further been backed up today by the fact the Danish manager has failed to include Matt O'Reilly, the Celtic player, in his squad, which I do find very funny. So that's one question. The second question is, if a club down south was to come in with a big offer, say 12, 15, 20 million pounds for Jack Butland, would the Rangers board be able to turn it down, or would they see that as valuable funds that could be reinvested into the squad? That is the big question. Now, Philippe Clement did say, previously that he sees Jack Butland as not actually having a value, as being priceless and not for sale. But, look, I think money talks. Every player has a value. Even the world's top players have values. I'm sure that if some club came in and offered Manchester City 180 million pounds for Erling Haaland, they probably would sell. And that's a ludicrous amount, but I'm just giving a stupid example to kind of show you that, money talks. So, let's say, for example, an English Premier League club comes in and offers the Rangers board 15, 18 million for Butland. There's a good, strong chance that they will consider that, because they'll see that as possibly, 18 million, that could be 3 6 million pound players, or 15 million, 3 5 million pound players. And that is money that we could reinvest into the playing squad, a playing squad that is bereft of quality, a playing squad that is going to lose, obviously, the 5 players out of contract. Fabio Silva, another one, 6, could lose Cortez, 7. A number of others that, look like they could depart as well. So could lose up to 10 to 15 players this summer. So we do need money to reinvest, and that cannot all just come from wages being recycled. And you can kind of argue, outside of Dujon Sterling, Jack Butland is the only saleable asset we really have, or top quality saleable asset that we have. Now, if Butland was to be sold, this would, of course, clear the way. Now, recently it has been reported, of course, that Rangers are signing Motherwell keeper Liam Kelly, and he's returning to the club. Now, many feel that Liam Kelly is being signed as a backup because there is doubt about the future of young Robbie McCrory, or 25, 26-year-old Robbie McCrory, who many people say now has missed out on the Scotland squad because of his lack of first-team minutes at Rangers. Now, it's been reported in a number of sources that Robbie McCrory wants to leave Rangers in search of first-team football. Now, one of the destinations that has been reported as being a possibility for McCrory is Aberdeen. Now, Aberdeen obviously have Killer Roos, but are looking at McCrory as their possible number 1. So, could that come off? Now, this has been further complicated, and this is where it gets really complicated. I'm going to spell out some scenarios in a minute, and this could really blow your mind. That Rangers have been linked with this giant goalkeeper, this giant Serbian goalkeeper, who goes by the name of, now get ready for this, guys. This is going to be a pure name massacre. You know how much I love to massacre a name. His name is Stojan Lekovic. I think that's how you say it. Stojan Lekovic. Now, Stojan Lekovic is an absolute giant goalkeeper. He is huge. He is measuring at 1.99 meters, which is about 6'5", 6'6". I think he's absolutely huge. Now, many people project that Stojan Lekovic, there you go, that's how you spell it, is a goalkeeper who is very much trending and following in the footsteps of his compatriot. His young compatriot, 24-year-old. Stojan Lekovic is actually 22 years old. but is following in the footsteps of Petrovic, the Chelsea keeper, who is 24. Many people see him as having the same talent and ability as Petrovic, who is, a very good keeper. Now, if this is the case, then this could be the fact that Rangers are allegedly looking at him for a six-figure sum. He's not yet worth millions. He's worth, I think it's about £750,000. So if it's the case that Rangers were to bring in Stoyan Lekovic and Liam Kelly, could this spell the end for both Jack Butland and also Robbie McCrory? Now, according to reports, it's not just Rangers who are interested in securing the services of Stoyan Lekovic. Also interested are Aberdeen. Now, if Aberdeen were to sign Lekovic ahead of Rangers, because Rangers obviously want to keep faith with Jack Butland, Kelly is the backup, that's the job done, then that would really put Robbie McCrory in a very difficult position, because he's not going to want to go to Aberdeen to be a backup there, or to face a competition where he might lose out and become the backup. So it's just genuinely got very complicated. So this situation has become a bit of a Russian roulette. Now, it could be that nothing happens, that Jack Butland stays, and the only goalkeeper that departs Ibrox this summer is John McLaughlin, who is out of contract. Or it could be that Jack Butland stays, Liam Kelly is his backup, Kieran Wright is re-signed as a third choice, Robbie McCrory is allowed to leave to go to somewhere else in Scotland or in England and become first choice there. Or it could be that we sign Lekovic, we sign Kelly, and we allow McCrory and Butland to leave, and we end up with two completely new goalkeepers next season. Or, and here's one that doesn't seem to have been discussed yet, Robbie McCrory becomes Rangers number one with Liam Kelly as his backup, and Butland leaves for a substantial fee. That money is then reinvested into the team, and Lekovic goes to Aberdeen. There is just a whole plethora of different possibilities here. A real Russian roulette, a real goalkeeper merry-go-round. Now, look, personally, my view, I want to keep Jack Butland for at least another season. His value is only going to go up. Yes, I know he's going to get older, but goalkeepers don't mature till they're about 33, 34 anyway. So look, he's still got some years to go yet. Goalkeepers can play up until 38, 39, as we saw with Alan McGregor, for example. So look, at the end of the day, for me, I'd love to keep Butland. I'd love to keep McCrory. I'd love to keep Kelly, keep those three in. That's our goalkeepers sorted for the future. Realistically, is that going to happen? Probably not. But keeping hold of Butland, I think, is the strongest possibility if the board play hardball, and the manager too. But like I said, my worry and my concern is that this Rangers board, I do not trust them. If a big bid comes in, they're going to see pound signs and they're going to use that money. How they then reuse that money and reinvest that money will be a big test. Does it go into the pockets of Coppen and Clement to spend on players, or does it go into John Bennett, Halstead, Park's pockets and line their pockets? That's the question. A big, big question. Now, as for Lekovic, now he's not had the best of seasons recently. He does play for a team that is around mid-table and has been in relegation trouble. That's not down to him. That's also down to the whole team. These are his stats: 15 goals conceded in 7 games in the Superliga Championship round. He conceded 32 in 22 in the Superliga, the Serbian Super League, and 1 goal in 2 games in the Serbian Cup. Overall, 48 goals conceded in 31, played 2,790 minutes and kept 10 clean sheets. But like I said, he does play for a team that is about a mid-table type team. I think he finished 13th last season in the Superliga, so it's not a great team. Petrovic, who does well in England, I think he conceded around about 28 goals in 23 appearances for Chelsea, who had a very mixed season last season. So it is interesting that we do seem to be looking at goalkeepers as well. Is this dropping a hint that Butland is not safe, that he is being considered for a transfer? I mean, it certainly seems that, with the probable free agent signing of Liam Kelly, backed up then by this interest in Lekovic, that if we do get Lekovic, that it could seem like there is a very strong possibility that Jack Butland could be on his way out to generate funds for the team rebuild. It's a really interesting one to follow. And it's going to be something, obviously, we try and keep our eyes on in Glasgow Rangers Nation to bring you the very latest. It's also worrying as well, because, like I said, Jack Butland is an outstanding goalkeeper, and Rangers have had a long and storied history of having outstanding goalkeepers. It's part of the Rangers story. You look back to Chris Woods, you look back to Stefan Kloss, the greatest Andy Gorham, Alan McGregor. Just to name a few there, the outstanding goalkeepers. Jack Butland, I think, is a name you can add to that list. Whether he's here next season, who only knows? But this speculation doesn't go away, and it is going to be there. Now, whether it's just rumour and press clickbait, who knows? But it isn't going to go away, is it? it's just very interesting that there could be this goalkeeper roulette that follows the clubs round, as a number of goalkeepers could move on, could find themselves in new places. And it's mind blowing. It really genuinely is. And as I said on the recent video, we are going to be linked with every man, his dog, his cat, his hamster's goldfish, his second cousin, guinea pig between now and the end of the transfer window, as papers and agents and everyone knows that this club needs to rebuild. Now, look, I know that all these stories are not true. I know that there's not the goalkeeper ones, but generally in terms of players we're linked with Daniel Garcia, Thomas Gadalmes, Jose Cordoba, Hefte, this player, that player, the other player. I know all those stories are not always true. And I know a lot of it is just the press making shit up because they want to sell papers or get people to click on their websites. I get that. I understand that. But we all love a transfer rumor, don't we? We all love a speculation. We all love a what if he came to Rangers? What if he pulled on the blue, pink, red, green, whatever colour jersey, depending on what position he plays, jersey, and actually ran out there at Ibrox and represented the club? We all love that rumour because we love to see what could happen. But who knows? Hey, guys. Wow. Blows my mind. You know what? This club blows my mind. It really genuinely blows my mind. It just does. It just so much to do. So much is going on. Guys, I could literally sit and make a million videos about all the different possibilities and different scenarios and God knows what could happen over the next few months ahead of the start of the new season. Let me know what you think anyway in the comments. Love reading your comments. Don't always get a chance to reply to them, guys. I am trying to get behind them, though. I try to do a full-time job, and this is very hard. Thank you for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation, guys. Please, obviously, smash that sub. Help the channel to keep on growing. If you want to support the channel, become a member for 99p or smash that super thanks button. Donate a little bit of cash. Thank you so much for watching. As always, on the way out, two things I always ask of you. Number one, please smash the like. It defeats the evil algorithm. And number two, say it together. We are the people.